Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coronavirus and the Independent Retailer. This is episode number 14. And today we're going to talk about the unforeseen benefits of a crisis. And let's start with a quote from Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a 19th century African American abolitionist, author, orator, a very major figure in the history of our country. And he said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are struggling. We are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. Many of you are in under shelter at home orders. Our whole world has been turned upside down. You don't need me to tell you that. But it's just one of those facts. But let's go back to what Frederick Douglass said. No struggle, no progress. And one of the things that I'm really starting to see is what people are doing to make the best of the situation, the lessons that people are learning, and what it all means for us as we get closer to the other side. And we will all get out of this together at the end. So one of the things that I've decided to do in this podcast is, on occasion, regularly talk about how to position yourself for, when this all ends, when we're on the other side. The lessons you need to learn now, the things to do now so that when it is done, you're better than ever. Struggle, progress. So let's talk about just three observations for today. One of the good things that comes from a crisis, one of the things that comes from the struggle is your weaknesses are exposed. And, I've shared this before. I've been through 3 crises in my retail career, and every single one of them came about because there was a hole in my skill set. And when times are good, you can make up for a lot of mistakes. A lot of blemishes get covered up when cash is good, when people love you, when the economy is good. But when times get bad, those weaknesses are exposed. If you listen to the interview with Rich Rose, he talked about the fact of that, if you want to get a quick loan, your books need to be in order. And I don't know if I'm talking to you directly, but I know of so many independent retailers who don't really keep their books tight. This is an example of not being, a skill you should have, not being in place. And when a crisis occurs, all of a sudden, you start to do that thing. Managing your inventory. I interviewed Mark Weiss, the president and CEO of Management One, yesterday. And I just remarked to him that I thought that when we got to the other side, that his business was going to explode. Why? Because so many of us are starting to see, wow, it's important to manage our inventories like a pro. And so when this is done, there's going to be a lot of people saying, hey, if I had positioned my inventory better, I would have been better able to weather that storm. Sales training. So many people, when times are good, you don't need to make that investment of time and money and energy into making sure that you're getting the absolute most out of every single customer who comes in the door or who calls you on the phone. So all of these things are becoming self-evident when we're in the middle of a crisis. And so I want you to start to pay attention to where are the weaknesses in your business and what can you do now to position yourself for the future. Are you doing sales training? Are you keeping your people tight and sharp? Are you watching your inventory? Are you tightening up your books? So one of the benefits of a crisis is it forces you to take a good solid look at the strengths of your business and really make sure that you shore up your weaknesses. The second thing that I absolutely love to see is, boy, oh boy, in this community, the hustle is coming out. And I know that some of you can't do business, but, so many people are trying things they have never tried before, that they would never be comfortable to do before. And they're doing it, and they're getting better at it, and they're starting to like it. And it's going to be part of their business as they move forward. On our Whiz Bang Retailers community Facebook page. And if you're not a member of Whiz Bang Retailers, I'd encourage you to join. It's just an amazing community. But I am amazed at how many people are putting up e-commerce websites in record time, right? It's like, whoa, I knew I needed it. I didn't make the time for it. Now I'm making time for it. That's the hustle. I did an interview with Maureen Doran on her clienteling program. I have talked to several clients who are like, wow, that interview was amazing. Never thought of reaching out to my customers like that. So they're starting to clientele. They're building their programs. That's the hustle. Facebook Live, Meg from Treasurology. I just got to give it to Meg. So yesterday I said, how are March sales? And she's up 30% by herself doing Facebook Live. She says, I'm working harder now than I've ever worked, but she's up 30%. She's got a closed store. She's up 30%. Why? Because she's doing Facebook Lives. She's hustling. And that's the thing that I really love to see, because the lessons that you learn when you're hustling, when you're scraping for every penny, are going to be part of the way that you do business when we're through to the other side. So I absolutely love the hustle that I see. And that change in business models is going to be an important part of a lot of people's futures. And, I have a note here. Yes, we are working harder for less. I've heard that comment a lot. Working harder for less. But guess what? When you're working harder for less, your brain is forcing you to think about how you can become more efficient. That's what the hustle is all about. The hustle is all about, try it. Did it work? Great. Do some more of it. Try it. Did it work? Great. Tweak it a little bit. Try it. Did it work? No? Well, either abandon it or tweak it some more. So we're all hustling. We're all trying to do more and do better. And the final thing that I want to talk about that I think is going to come out of the other side of this is that the people who are treating their teams right are going to come out with a much better team, a much tighter, more powerful culture in their business. You know, I have talked to so many people whose staff members are rallying around them in an incredibly meaningful way. So what's going to happen, or what is happening, is the people who are on your team, who are truly there for you, are going to emerge. And the people who are just working for a paycheck are good. That's going to show them. It's going to show itself also. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having people who just are working for a paycheck. As long as they're doing the job to your standard, that's fine. But you're also going to find who your superstars are. Your superstars are going to step up. And the people who need to go are going to that's going to kind of emerge too. So when this is all said and done, the people who have, the dead weight will have been discarded. You know, the pruning will have happened. The people who you don't want for your new great post-pandemic business are going to be gone. And the people who have stayed with you and have stepped up for you and have shown you that they belong in your business, those people are going to come along, and you are going to have a bright future with them and because of them. So those are 3 things, and I'm starting to make a list here in my journal about other things that I'm starting to see. And I would love it if you would share with us the things that you're starting to see. What is it in the struggle that's going to make for the progress? So I I hope that you found this helpful. If you have any comments, by all means, please put them, in the section below. If you are listening to this as a podcast, I would love it, appreciate it if you were to share this, if you were to like it, if you were to review it. And the final thing that I want to say, if you are new to this broadcast or to this podcast, that all of the resources that we are creating, coronavirus specific resources that are being created for you, the independent brick and mortar retailer, are all on what we call our binge page. You can go to whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus, and there you will find all of the episodes of this podcast, all of the interviews that we have done. You will find access to the program that Susan did. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago on the CARES Act. Today, Susan's going to do an update on the CARES Act. You can also subscribe to the podcast. There's just a lot of resources for you. It's one thing to just get all sorts of information. It's another thing to get specific information for you as an independent retailer who is working their way through this pandemic, working really, really hard to get through to the other side. So that's all I have for you today. Congratulations. We're one day closer to getting through to the other side together, and I will see you tomorrow. Be safe, everybody.